And the more that we try to change how other people think or how they feel, the more depressed and frustrated we become. If someone has expectations, our close ones, family members, have expectations for you, about how you're going to live, how they think you should live. Dharma is not to fulfill someone else's expectations. One of the truths and challenges of life is we don't actually have any control over anyone else's thoughts or emotions. And the more that we try to change how other people think or how they feel, the more depressed and frustrated we become. It's like beating our heads against a wall. It doesn't work. You can't do it. If someone has expectations, our close ones, family members, have expectations for you, about how you're going to live, how they think you should live, it's going to be really, really difficult, if not impossible, to get them to let those go. They may stop talking to you about them. They may pretend that they don't have them because they don't want to make you upset. But they're not actually going to drop them on the inside. The only answer here is for you to deeply recognize that your dharma is not to fulfill someone else's expectations. We are not here on planet Earth to fulfill someone else's expectations. So the only solution is to actually recognize, I'm not here for that. Obviously, I want to help people as much as I can. I want to serve as much as I can, bring joy and peace as much as we all can. But not by adapting my dharma to match their agenda. That is not what is being asked of us. So if someone has an expectation, let's say, that you get these in families a lot with parents, sort of, we've spent so much money on your education, we've done all of this now, like you better go out there. You better work yourself to the bone. You better make a whole bunch of money. You better be really successful. Because that's what we expect. And because, we've done everything for you, therefore, you owe it to us, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the world. But what if really what you want to do is write poetry instead of do business? What if what you want to do is, teach inner city kindergarten for some NGO or some, local government school where there's barely enough money to, there's enough you're going to feed yourself, you're not going to starve, but you're certainly not going to become rich enough that the neighbors say to your parents, wow, God, what your child has become. Depending on who the family members are, if you're lucky, if you're really blessed, they're going to actually see the value in you fulfilling your dharma regardless of whether it ends up being what their expectation on that level was. But we're not all that lucky. A lot of times, remember, our parents are humans. And in that spectrum of humans, we're all at different levels of doing our own work and working through our own attachments and expectations and agendas and illusions and all of that. And so depending on where on this spectrum your parents are, They may say, wow, I'm so proud of you. I know it's not easy, but I'm so proud of you for having that courage to really live according to what you know is right, what you know you're meant to do. And I'm so proud of you for, living simply because that's what you need to do in order to have the job that you want. But you may not get that. You may get them saying, this is such a waste. You could do so much more. You're not fulfilling your potential. There's a very big misunderstanding in the world that potential equals money and power. When people say you're not fulfilling your potential, 99 times out of 100, it means you could be achieving, acquiring, earning more in the material world, the career world, than you are. No one says, God, you could be so much more spiritually deep than you are if you just meditated a little more. Wow, you could be so much more in touch with the beautiful truth of yourself if you just let go of some of those attachments. No one ever talks about our spiritual potential. The gurus do. But in society, we don't get that. In society, when people say your potential, live up to your potential, it essentially means work yourself to the bone, rise as high as you can, bring home as much as you can. And for some people, that is what they need to do to fulfill a dharma. But that's not true for all of us. And so when you're working with other people's expectations for you, make sure that you're really loyal, mostly, to your own dharma. You must be respectful of them, especially if they're your parents. Deeply respectful, deeply grateful for everything they've given you, everything they've done for you. But sadly, just because people are biologically capable of conceiving and popping out children does not necessarily mean that they are spiritually awake and enlightened and wise and therefore qualified to tell you how to make every choice in your life. And so with reverence and care and gratitude, we may sometimes have to just realize, I respect you and love you, but my life is different. If you find that that's the case, that someone has an expectation for you that isn't in alignment with what you feel inside is your truth or your dharma, then you need to stay true to yourself. And if they are evolved at all, as I was very blessed that my parents were, they will come around, they will understand. Ultimately, what they want, real loved ones, what they really want is that we should be happy, that we should be fulfilled. Not just happy on a superficial level, but they want that we should be deeply happy. They want that we should be deeply fulfilled, that our lives should be meaningful. And if you find that in a way that isn't what they thought, again, if they really love you and if they've got the courage to think outside their box, they will come around, but not everyone is in that situation. And so you've got to really just keep coming back to staying true to your own inner calling and be as loving as you can, as tender as you can, as gentle as you can, but simultaneously as fierce as you can in the protection of and the commitment to your own dharma and your own path. Because even though we have lots and lots and lots of lives and we keep coming back, you only get to do this one once. We don't get a repeat. We'll have different karmic lessons in next life, a different situation. But we only get to do this one once. And so do it mindfully, do it consciously, do it courageously. You owe it to yourself. And again, if they're really loved ones, they'll come, they'll support you in whatever it may be. Just may take them a little while.